So I'm going to be a little protective of where I'm calling from, and I think that's a little bit relevant to why I'm calling in today. So I do want to just start off saying that I'm a big fan of you guys, Sam and Emma. Hassan Abi kind of brought me to you guys. I really love your politics. I really love your values, and it coincides with me. So I think for your viewers, and even to just have this conversation, I'm a very fortunate individual, and I'll say I'm kind of a privileged immigrant who is fortunately going to come to America to work. And I'm like a healthcare provider. And it's very interesting because my views and my anxiety or even fear regarding this has kind of changed in the interim. Like I said, I'm a privileged immigrant where, I come from a country where things are great. I could stay in that country, but I chose to come to America because I love the country, the place I'm going to work at. I really love a lot, but also because I have a service that I can provide to the patients that, I'll be taking care of. So I signed my contract about a year ago. And that what America was different a year ago, as it has changed periodically. And even my, I wasn't really into politics, but the past couple of years I've been reading up and following it and seeing how much it's changed has brought a little bit of anxiety for me. So I'm an individual who is coming on a visa, who's going to be working in an underserved area. And I think it's very interesting because, I think about it and I'm like, am I making the right choice now, right? Before I would be I don't want to be a little bit arrogant here, but I think a lot of people would think of me as a really positive immigrant, someone who's coming in, who's going to be helping out an underserved community. I do also plan on getting involved in homeless care and also public health as well. And even the institution that I'm working with will give me that opportunity as well. But now I'm kind of afraid. I'm like, okay, am I even going to get that visa? And even when I get that visa, are people going to kind of look at me in a certain type of way? And then when I do get to my institution, I'm kind of afraid of, hey, is the government going to suddenly, go after us, right? Fortunately, my institution was very brave and kind of stood up against the current administration and made a lot of statements and stuff like that. But ultimately as well, it's just, what I think is very sad is that someone like me who wants to work in this underserved area, and when I compare myself to my colleagues who are American-born or American providers, they don't want to go work in that area, right? And the reason why they don't want to work there, they're like, hey, I can make more money, and why would I work with this particular population, which is going to be more difficult for me to do my job, right? So there's a lack of individuals who would want to go there, lack of resources that go there, and then there is an immigrant here who enjoys working with those populations, because for me, helping people is just why I got into this profession. And it's just kind of goofy that, someone like me is suddenly seen as a negative, right? Or I'm afraid to do that, right? When the country or even that specific area needs someone like me. So I guess I just wanted to talk about this and maybe, give especially your viewers an example, a real world example of how the current administrative policies are scaring away. There's a brain drain that's happening, or scaring away immigrants who want to kind of, make a difference in the country.
I think you're right. I think there is not only, we see it with tourism, we see it with students. And I have no doubt that there is both a brain drain and a impermeable, a barrier to brain entry. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, without a doubt. I think this is something that we're going to be suffering from in this country 5, 10, 15, 20. I don't know if this is reversible, to be honest with you, because the institutions that are set up and that are built and, the sort of subsidiary institutions that place people and whatnot, they're all reorienting because people don't want to come here. And I will tell you that my sense is that you're not going to have the people you work with are not going to be looking at you sideways. I think the concern about where the government is heading is legitimate, but I don't think you're going to have any U.S. citizens looking at you in any way other than with an appreciation for the work you're doing.
I think that's interesting you say that because, and like I said, as someone who's been in the U.S. for years, I'm very familiar with the culture and stuff like that. My colleagues have, like, as the past year, even their sentiments have kind of changed as well. And you would think these colleagues who are highly educated would, know a little bit more, but it's just very interesting that the country itself, like, the sentiment has changed. There is this little bit of hatred now. Like, people are a little bit more open about who they're voting for, why they voted for that individual. And even people that you think are very educated also are kind of like, yeah, but, like, why would you go there, right? They're poor. Like, why even do that? And I would obviously rebuttal, like, hey, this is our job. Like, why would you even talk like that? Whereas maybe like a year or two ago, they wouldn't say that.
Oh,
not to say that I'm afraid. I think I'm just a little bit of a psycho who likes the challenge maybe a little bit and feel like I can actually do something. But yeah.
Oh, I mean, the attitude of your colleagues who are like, why would you put yourself out? That, I think, is a function of this era. The idea of, like, everybody's getting theirs right now. I think that is permeating a lot of stuff. I think the idea of, like, when you see Donald Trump enriching himself, like right now he's sitting in Alaska with Putin, and it is like he's just looking at, like, what are we going to do about Trump Tower in Moscow? Like, what am I going to get out of this? And that sense, I think, has permeated. It is cascading down through society where it's like, hey, man, I'm just like, everything that's going on with, like, the stock market and all of, like, securities and investments right now, there's a real sense of, like, I'm going to get mine because there's a looting mentality, I think, amongst in significant portions of our society right now. Essentially, we're going to extract as much as we can out of society because why wouldn't you at this point?
Yeah.
And so that the response, a different response from your colleagues about what you're doing doesn't surprise me. I would be surprised if there is a lack of appreciation for what you're doing when you get there, because I think the animosity, to the extent that it is more, there's more license for people to express animosity towards immigrants, I think generally comes at the expense of immigrants they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree too. Like, the contrary to this too is that, especially the institution that I'm working for, I guess with the current administration, there's been a rallying that's been happening where people are like, we don't agree with this, and we're going to help the individuals that we're going to take care of. We're going to band together. So there's that's also happening, which I really appreciate. And even with the recent mayoral race, that was like a big thing too, where people are like, okay, you know what? We reject what's kind of going on, and we're going to band together. We're going to do something. And, like, I'm going to be honest, even kind of watching the mayor gave me the inspiration, right? It gave me that, okay, maybe there is, something more we can do. And if we just work hard at it, work together, we can do something. And I think that's, like, I give a lot of respect to Mandani for what he did. I think he did. I think it's at shockwaves, right? And it's definitely worked for me.
Well, I mean, that's what you're seeing too, where your colleagues are more cynical about it not because they're bad people inherently or whatever. It's because this is a structural problem in our healthcare. And we also, if you don't have the ability to pay for medical school, there's a chance you are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So you're not going to go to practice in an area where you can't maximize the value of your investment, essentially. And so it funnels folks towards hospitals or institutions that pay them the most money. It's the same dynamic with law. And that is part of the design. And so, like, if there wasn't that structure for some of your colleagues, they might be more open to your attitude or putting that into practice.
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of hit it on the nail. That's exactly the reason. And even especially, and it's kind of messed up because the individuals who don't come from a great background or poor background who have to take a loan, they do want to give back, but they can't because they're like, I got to hit out my loan in an X amount of years before I can do something. Whereas individuals who didn't have a loan, they're like, oh, I'm just going to make as much money as I can. So I'm going to, like the system, exploit the individuals, unfortunately.
Well, appreciate the call. Good luck wherever you're headed.
Thanks.
Yeah. And there's a lot of class reproduction in I think doctor who gets to become a doctor as well, because you are likely somebody, if you don't have to worry about debt, that your parents could afford it, and then there's such a huge barrier to entry for that profession. Let alone when you're in residency, like the amount that you're getting paid is very little, so it also delays the capacity for paying back loans when you're in residency.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.